Captain Elias Mercer gripped the edge of the crumbling tunnel, his boots scraping against jagged rock as debris rained around him. The air was thick with dust and the smell of ozone from the broken energy conduits. Above him, the mine's ceiling was fracturing, threatening to collapse entirely. Somewhere in the chaos, the young alien girl he had come to save was trapped, her cries echoing faintly through the cavern. Elias's heart pounded, but his mind was sharp. He had faced danger before, on Earth and beyond, but this was unlike anything he had encountered. The alien skirmish outside had left the mining facility in ruins, and the guards chasing him had far superior technology. Yet, humans had a gift no machine could match: instinct, courage, and adaptability. He ducked under a falling beam and sprinted down a narrow passage. The walls vibrated from a distant explosion, forcing him to leap across a widening gap. On the other side, he found the girl. She was small, her skin shimmering a pale violet in the dim light, with wide, frightened eyes. She looked almost fragile, but even in fear, there was a spark of intelligence in her gaze. "Lyra!" Elias called, using the name he had learned from intercepted communications. "I've got you, stay close." The girl hesitated, then nodded. Elias grabbed her hand, and together they ran through the collapsing mine. Sparks from exposed energy lines sparked around them, some zipping dangerously close. Elias threw himself against a wall just as a conduit exploded, sending a bright flash of light and a shower of sparks. He felt heat on his arm, but pain could wait. Lyra was still alive, and that was all that mattered. Suddenly, the ground beneath them cracked and a piece of the ceiling began to fall. Elias acted instinctively. He pushed Lyra forward and jumped after her, using his momentum to roll as the rock crashed down behind them. Dust filled his lungs, and he coughed violently, but he forced himself to keep moving. Every second counted. The sounds of pursuit grew closer. Alien guards armed with plasma rifles were cutting through the debris with precision, their movements mechanical and relentless. Elias had no weapon that could match theirs, so he relied on the environment. He lured them into a narrow corridor where the walls were unstable. With a swift kick, he loosened a large rock, sending it tumbling down to block the path. The guards were forced to retreat temporarily, giving him precious moments to guide Lyra forward. Finally, they reached an exit, a large, partially destroyed lift that descended toward the surface. Elias activated the controls, praying the ancient machinery would hold. The lift shuddered, groaned, and then began to descend. Lyra clung to him, trembling but trusting him completely. For the first time, he allowed himself a fleeting sense of hope. As they neared the surface, a blast rocked the lift. Elias grabbed the railing, holding Lyra close. The floor of the lift cracked beneath their feet, threatening to drop them into the darkness below. With a final surge of strength, Elias pushed them both onto solid ground just as the lift collapsed entirely behind them. They emerged into the pale light of the alien sky. Jagged mountains stretched in all directions, and in the distance, the alien city floated above the planet's surface, its towers shimmering with energy. Below, the battle raged on, but Elias knew they were beyond immediate danger. For now, Lyra looked up at him, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice soft and musical. Elias nodded, brushing dust from his jacket. "We're not safe yet. Stay close." He scanned the horizon. They needed to reach a transport point where they could leave the planet entirely. But moving across open terrain with enemy forces on alert was dangerous. Elias relied on his training and human intuition. He chose a route that hugged the rocky cliffs, keeping them mostly hidden from aerial scanners. As they moved, Elias noticed Lyra's reactions. She was quick to understand his gestures and movements, and she instinctively followed his directions. Humans had always excelled at improvisation, and even the alien girl, raised in a far more advanced society, relied on him in this moment. Elias smiled faintly. It was strange and wonderful how humans and aliens could cooperate in times of need. Night began to fall, painting the sky in deep purples and blues. The alien city's lights glimmered like distant stars, a reminder of the power and complexity of this civilization. Elias considered what he had done, He had saved a royal child, defied enemy forces, and survived against incredible odds. Humanity had always been underestimated in space, but here, his actions spoke louder than words ever could. Suddenly, movement caught his eye. A group of alien scouts had detected them. Elias didn't hesitate. He scanned the area and spotted a narrow cave to the side of the path. Without thinking twice, he grabbed Lyra's hand and led her inside. The cave was dark, but it offered cover. Inside, Elias crouched, listening. The scouts passed without noticing them, moving with disciplined precision. Once they were gone, Elias let out a long breath, feeling the tension drain from his body. Lyra looked at him with a mixture of admiration and relief. You risked everything for me," she said softly. Elias shook his head. "It's not just for you. It's for everyone who can't protect themselves. That's what humans do." Lyra smiled faintly, though fear still lingered in her eyes. "You are very different from other beings I have met." Elias laughed quietly. "I get that a lot." They continued through the cave system, moving cautiously but steadily. Elias had learned long ago that patience was as valuable as courage. Rushing blindly would only get them both killed. His mind raced as he calculated the safest path toward the transport hub. Hours later, they reached the edge of the cave, where the terrain leveled out into open ground. Ahead, a small shuttle waited, its engine's low hum a comforting sound. Elias helped Lyra climb aboard and ensured she was secure. Just as he prepared to enter, a shadow loomed behind them. A patrol of enemy soldiers had tracked them. Elias didn't hesitate. He grabbed a large rock and threw it with precise force, striking the lead soldier's weapon and causing it to spark uncontrollably. The sudden chaos allowed him to rush to the shuttle and start the launch sequence. Alarms blared, lights flashed, and with a thunderous roar the shuttle lifted off the ground. Inside, Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide with disbelief. You saved me," she said again. Elias gave her a reassuring nod. "And I will keep you safe until you're home." The shuttle pierced the atmosphere, leaving the chaos behind. As the stars stretched into long streaks outside the window, Elias allowed himself a moment of reflection. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, yet here he was, navigating alien danger with nothing but courage, wits, and the instinct to protect another being. Lyra slowly relaxed beside him, her trust in him evident. Elias knew that their journey was far from over. Saving her was only the first step. The Queen, her mother, would undoubtedly want to meet the human who had dared to risk everything. And humans, Elias thought with a small smile, always rise to the challenge. As the shuttle sped toward the alien capital, Elias reviewed his plans. They would need allies, careful strategy, and diplomacy. But more importantly, humans had something no advanced technology could replicate: heart, courage, and the ability to act when others hesitated. And in this vast, dangerous galaxy, that could make all the difference. For now, Elias allowed himself a small victory. He had rescued the alien princess. But in the back of his mind, he already knew the next challenge awaited. The alien queen would demand gratitude, and humans would need to prove their worth, not just in battle, but in intellect, honor, and trust. Elias leaned back in his seat, eyes fixed on the stars. The adventure was only beginning. Humanity had stepped onto a new stage, and he intended to show the galaxy that humans, though few and fragile compared to other civilizations, were forces to be reckoned with. And somewhere in the shuttle, Lyra slept, safe for the first time in what felt like an eternity. Her life, and perhaps the future of human-alien relations, rested in Elias's hands. Outside, the stars burned bright, and the galaxy seemed both endless and full of possibilities. One human had made a difference, and that difference would echo far beyond the borders of a single world. The shuttle glided silently through the upper atmosphere of the alien world. Below, the floating city of the Queen shimmered like a jewel, suspended above a swirling blue gas giant. Towers made of crystal-like metal reflected the light of distant stars, and energy bridges connected platforms that floated in midair. Elias had never seen anything like it, not even in the most advanced human colonies. Lyra sat quietly beside him, her violet skin glowing faintly in the soft light of the cockpit. She had regained some composure after the nightmarish ordeal in the mine. She glanced at Elias and asked, Do they always live so high above the ground? Elias smiled faintly. Apparently, when you have the resources to build floating cities, why not? Lyra's small laugh was musical and light, a rare sound in the tension-filled days they had endured. It reminded Elias why he had risked everything to save her. Humans had a tendency to act in moments of compassion, even when the odds were stacked against them. He had done the same here, and now they were on the way to face her mother, the powerful Queen Arathia. The shuttle docked with a platform that extended from one of the tallest towers. The airlock hissed, and Elias helped Lyra step onto solid ground. The platform was enormous, made of a smooth alloy that reflected the sky above. Drones flew past, monitoring the area, while servants moved silently, attending to their duties. Elias felt the weight of countless eyes on him, all observing the human who had dared to enter the Queen's domain. A tall, slender alien approached. Her skin shimmered with soft silver tones, and her eyes were deep pools of violet. She was graceful, moving without a sound. Elias recognized her as one of the Queen's emissaries. "You are Captain Elias Mercer?" the emissary asked in perfect common, the interstellar language of trade and diplomacy. "Yes," Elias replied, standing tall despite the awe-inspiring surroundings. "And you are?" "I am Vela, one of Queen Arathia's advisors," she said, bowing slightly. "The Queen requests your presence. She wishes to honor you personally." Elias nodded. He had faced hostile forces, collapsing mines, and deadly chases, but now he was entering the palace of one of the galaxy's most powerful beings. It was daunting, but he relied on a human trait that had never failed him: courage in the face of uncertainty. As Vela led them through the palace, Elias marveled at the architecture. Floating platforms connected by transparent energy bridges stretched high into the sky. Gardens hovered in midair, flowers glowing faintly, suspended as if by magic. Waterfalls fell upward, bending into arcs as gravity fields shifted. Humans had cities, yes, but nothing so breathtakingly alive and alien. Yet Elias felt no fear, only determination. He had survived worse. They arrived at a massive chamber at the heart of the palace. The walls glimmered with crystalline panels displaying the history of the Queen's lineage in holographic projections. At the center on a raised dais sat Queen Arathia. She was imposing and regal, her presence commanding attention even without movement. Her skin reflected subtle shades of violet and silver, her eyes deep and calculating, yet not without curiosity. "Captain Mercer." The Queen's voice rang clear, strong, and melodic. "You have saved my daughter Lyra. For this I owe you a debt of gratitude." Elias bowed respectfully, a human gesture of respect, though small compared to the grandness of the Queen's presence. "Your Majesty, I did what anyone would do. No one should be left to die." The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly, studying him. "Few would act as you did. Most humans, or any other species, would have fled or sought reward. Yet you risked your life without hesitation." Elias felt the weight of her gaze but held his composure. "I do not act for reward. I act for what is right, that is, human nature, I suppose." Lyra's eyes shone with pride. Elias had not only saved her life but also earned her respect. The Queen inclined her head slightly, acknowledging both the human's courage and her daughter's growing admiration. "You will attend a night of gratitude," the Queen declared. "It is a tradition for those who perform acts of great valor. There will be celebration, challenges, and opportunities to demonstrate the qualities we value. You will participate, Captain Mercer." Elias nodded. "I will honor your tradition, Your Majesty." Vela motioned for them to follow. The chamber opened into a vast hall filled with alien dignitaries, courtiers, and scholars. They watched the arrival of the human who had risked life and limb for the Queen's daughter. Conversations hushed, and all eyes focused on Elias and Lyra as they entered. Despite the grandeur and alien complexity surrounding him, Elias remained calm. He knew that humans had a way of standing out not because of strength, but because of cleverness, courage, and empathy. These were traits that even the most advanced civilizations could not replicate. The Queen's advisor guided them to the center of the hall, where a ceremonial circle was prepared. Holographic lights shimmered along the floor, creating a mesmerizing pattern that reacted to movement. Elias observed quietly. This was a test in part, he realized, not of combat, but of character, intellect, and presence. Lyra spoke softly. Mother wants you to understand our ways. She admires bravery, but also wisdom. Elias nodded. Then I will do my best to show her that humans can match your finest traditions. The night of gratitude began with ceremonial greetings, music, and alien rituals. Elias watched carefully, noting the patterns and protocols. Even in unfamiliar culture, human observation and quick learning gave him an edge. He mirrored respectful gestures, answered questions with clarity, and engaged with the dignitaries with humor and diplomacy. The queen observed silently, her piercing gaze evaluating every movement. Aliens whispered to one another, astonished at the humans' composure. In a world of advanced technology and centuries of refinement, humans were often underestimated. Yet Elias stood as proof that courage, intellect, and heart could not be measured by machinery or history alone. A minor crisis tested him next. A ceremonial energy display malfunctioned, sending arcs of light dangerously close to the attendees. Humans would panic. Many aliens might wait for their technology to respond. But Elias acted immediately. He leapt forward, redirecting energy flows using a nearby control panel. Sparks flew, alarms blared, yet the hall remained safe. Lyra's hand found his, a silent thank you. The queen's eyes widened in recognition of his quick thinking. You are not merely brave, human, she said later, her voice carrying across the hall. You are wise, adaptable, and calm under pressure. These are qualities we value as highly as courage. Elias bowed once more. I am honored, Your Majesty. I have learned that courage without wisdom can be reckless. Humans may have faults, but we also learn fast. The queen nodded. Indeed, you have already demonstrated what many of my people could not achieve even with centuries of study. As the night progressed, Elias mingled with alien scholars and warriors. He shared tales of human exploration, ingenuity, and survival. Stories of Earth's resilience and human creativity impressed even the most skeptical dignitaries. He saw that humans, though fewer and technologically less advanced in some ways, had qualities that made them indispensable in a universe filled with conflict and uncertainty. Lyra remained close to him, observing how her mother reacted. She whispered, They are amazed by you, not just for saving me, but for who you are. Humans, they are rare in this galaxy. Elias smiled faintly. Maybe, but rare or not, we find ways to survive, to help, to make a difference. That is something no alien technology can replace. The night ended with a quiet ceremony where the queen personally acknowledged him. She placed a ceremonial medallion upon Elias's chest, a symbol of honor and gratitude. Captain Mercer, she said, you have earned not only my gratitude but the respect of my people. Your courage has proven that humans are capable of greatness. Elias felt a surge of pride tempered with humility. He had come to this planet as a rescuer, but now he was part of something larger, the beginning of a bridge between humanity and one of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Outside, the floating city glimmered under the alien night sky, stars stretched in endless patterns reflecting off crystalline towers. Elias knew this was only the start. The queen's gratitude would bring challenges, expectations, and perhaps even trials. But humans thrived under pressure. They adapted, survived, and excelled. For now, he allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. Humanity had stepped onto a new stage in the galaxy. He had saved a life, earned trust, and demonstrated that human courage and wisdom were forces to be reckoned with. Lyra leaned close to him as they prepared to leave the hall. You truly are remarkable, she whispered. Elias chuckled quietly. I'm just human. Sometimes that's enough. And in the glowing halls of the alien palace, a human had not only saved a life, but had begun to change the way an entire civilization viewed humanity. The stage was set for the challenges ahead, but Elias Mercer was ready. For humans, the impossible was often just another opportunity to prove themselves. The next evening, the palace of Queen Arathia glimmered under the light of 2 moons. The floating city seemed even more majestic now, with streams of energy flowing between towers like ribbons of light. Elias Mercer stood at the edge of the central platform, surveying the area. Tonight would not be a simple ceremony. The night of gratitude, he had learned, was a series of trials designed to test courage, intelligence, and moral judgment. Lyra, beside him, looked up at him with wide eyes. Are you ready?" she asked softly. Elias gave a small smile. "I have faced collapsing mines, enemy soldiers, and near-death situations. A few challenges in a palace won't scare me. The first trial was one of intelligence. Elias was led into a chamber where holographic puzzles floated in mid-air. They shifted and changed constantly, displaying alien symbols and mathematical patterns beyond human knowledge at first glance. Yet Elias observed the underlying logic. Humans were problem solvers by nature, accustomed to adapting under pressure. He studied the patterns carefully, tracing sequences with his hand. The puzzles required not just memorization, but understanding how alien energy flowed through the holograms. Elias noticed small irregularities, tiny gaps in the sequences that suggested a solution path. He worked quickly, manipulating the holographic panels, aligning symbols, and channeling energy flows. Lights flashed as the system responded, and finally, the puzzle locked into place, creating a harmonious pattern of radiant light. The chamber doors opened automatically, and an alien voice echoed through the hall. "You have demonstrated clarity and insight. Few beings grasp our logic so quickly." Elias exhaled, relieved. Even in this alien setting, human observation and reasoning had proved valuable. Lyra clapped quietly, her smile brightening the tense atmosphere. "I knew you would understand," she whispered. The second trial tested courage and physical skill. The platform beneath him shifted suddenly, revealing a labyrinth suspended over a void that seemed to stretch into infinity. Energy barriers and moving obstacles blocked the path. Elias could see his goal, a glowing orb at the far end that represented the next stage of the trial. Without hesitation, he leapt forward, timing his jumps carefully to avoid the moving barriers. Aliens watching from above murmured in surprise. Humans, they realized, were unpredictable but adaptable. A machine could calculate trajectories, but humans instinctively adjusted to chaos, reacting in ways that no algorithm could predict. Elias navigated the labyrinth, using momentum, balance, and quick thinking. When a floating bridge began to collapse beneath him, he grabbed an energy conduit and swung across, landing safely on solid ground. Lyra's eyes shone with admiration. She had watched humans fight, survive, and adapt before, but seeing it firsthand was different. The third trial was a test of empathy and moral judgment. A simulation projected a scenario in which an alien village faced a natural disaster. The holograms displayed frightened civilians, collapsing structures, and the urgent need for evacuation. The challenge was not just to survive, but to save as many lives as possible without causing additional harm. Elias acted swiftly. He assessed the scene, prioritized the most vulnerable, and directed rescue efforts with precision. Where technology overcomplicated solutions, he relied on instinct and human ingenuity. He guided virtual villagers to safety, rerouted energy flows, and stabilized collapsing structures. When the simulation ended, a holographic voice spoke. "You have shown that courage without compassion is incomplete. You understand the weight of responsibility and the value of every life." Elias nodded. Humans had always relied on empathy as much as intellect. In every war, every mission, every crisis, he had learned that protecting others required quick thinking, bravery, and a sense of moral purpose. After the trials, the Queen herself appeared, her presence filling the chamber. She observed Elias with keen eyes, her expression unreadable at first. Then slowly she smiled. "Captain Mercer," she said, "you have completed the trials with distinction. You have shown not only courage and intelligence, but also empathy and honor. These qualities are rare even among my own people." Elias bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I only acted as I believe any human would. We survive, we protect, and we learn from every challenge." The Queen's gaze softened. "Indeed. You have proven that humans, though fewer in number and technologically less advanced, possess qualities that make them indispensable allies. Courage, adaptability, and compassion, these are your greatest weapons." Lyra stepped forward, her small hand brushing Elias's arm. "You were amazing," she whispered. "Even the hardest trials could not stop you." Elias smiled, ruffling her hair gently. "You would do the same for me, I'm sure." The Queen's advisor, Vela, approached next. "The trials are concluded. However, the final challenge is not one of skill alone. It is a test of trust and honor. Captain Mercer, you must now participate in a..." ceremony that symbolizes the bond between your people and the Queen's. It requires courage of a different kind, the courage to accept responsibility for the lives you have touched. Elias nodded. He understood that this final trial was symbolic, a recognition of his actions and their wider consequences. Humans had always excelled in situations that required not only strength and intelligence, but also moral courage. He was ready. The ceremony began in a grand hall filled with floating platforms, shimmering lights, and alien music that resonated deep within the soul. The Queen stood at the center, Lyra by her side. Elias approached, carrying himself with dignity and respect. "Captain Mercer," the Queen said, "you have earned our trust and gratitude. Tonight, we honor not only your actions but the values of your people. Humans have shown that even in a galaxy of powerful civilizations, courage, wisdom, and compassion define true greatness." The hall responded with applause, though alien in tone and sound, echoing through the vast chamber. Elias felt a sense of pride tempered by humility. He was a human, a simple being from a small planet, yet here he stood recognized by one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. Lyra leaned close, whispering, "Your people will be remembered here for a long time. You made a difference." Elias looked at her and smiled. "We all make a difference when we act with courage and heart. That is what makes humans strong." The Queen continued, "Your trials have proven that humans are capable of greatness. You have shown qualities that machines cannot replicate, that logic alone cannot produce. Humans are unpredictable, resourceful, and resilient. These traits will serve us well in the future." Elias nodded. The recognition was meaningful, but he knew the journey was far from over. Humans had earned respect, yes, but now they had responsibilities, alliances to maintain, diplomacy to navigate, and challenges that would test their resolve further. As the night of trials concluded, the Queen invited Elias to a private audience. There she spoke in a quieter, more intimate tone. "Captain Mercer, your actions have saved my daughter and demonstrated the best of humanity. I offer not just gratitude but an opportunity for alliance. Humans have much to teach us, and perhaps we have much to teach you in return." Elias considered her words carefully. Humans had always sought exploration, knowledge, and survival. Forming alliances with advanced civilizations was not just advantageous. It was a path toward understanding the galaxy better. "I accept, Your Majesty," he said firmly. "We will learn from each other and work together for the benefit of all." The Queen smiled, a rare warmth in her expression. "Then it is settled. You have not only proven yourself, but have also forged a bridge between our peoples. Let this night of gratitude mark the beginning of a lasting partnership." Lyra beamed, her admiration for Elias shining brighter than ever. "I am glad you are here, Captain Mercer," she said softly. "Not just because you saved me, but because you have shown everyone what humans are capable of." Elias chuckled quietly. "We're not perfect, but we try. And sometimes trying is enough to make a difference." As the night drew to a close, Elias looked out over the floating city. Lights shimmered like stars and the sky stretched endlessly above. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also a sense of possibility. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, and the actions of one human could echo far beyond the borders of a single world. In the quiet moments before sleep, Elias reflected on the night of trials. Every test, every challenge had reinforced a simple truth. Courage, intelligence, and compassion were universal. No matter the technology, no matter the species, these qualities could change destinies. Lyra drifted to sleep beside him, safe and unharmed. The Queen's palace was secure, and humans had earned the respect of one of the galaxy's greatest civilizations. Yet Elias knew that this was only the beginning. More trials awaited, not of skill or strength alone, but of diplomacy, trust, and the ongoing challenge of proving humanity's worth in a vast, complex universe. Outside, the stars gleamed, and the floating city shimmered under the twin moons. For the first time in days, Elias allowed himself a moment of peace. Humanity had survived another test. Humanity had proven that courage and heart could shine, even in the face of overwhelming odds. And as he looked at Lyra sleeping peacefully, he realized something else. Humans were not alone in the galaxy, and their future, bright, unpredictable, and full of possibilities, had only just begun. The morning after the night of trials, The floating city gleamed under the soft light of twin suns. Captain Elias Mercer walked alongside Lyra through the palace gardens, suspended in mid-air, where plants floated gently and streams of water defied gravity. The air was fragrant with alien flora, and the quiet hum of energy fields created a serene, almost magical atmosphere. Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes shining. "You've done more than anyone could imagine, Captain Mercer. Not just saving me, but proving something to everyone here." Elias smiled faintly. "Humans do what they can, Lyra. Courage, heart, and thinking fast, that's what keeps us alive. And sometimes it makes others respect us too." Before they could continue, Vela approached, her expression formal yet respectful. "Your presence is requested in the Queen's chamber. She wishes to speak with you personally before the official ceremony of gratitude concludes." Elias nodded. He had anticipated this. Saving the Queen's daughter and passing the trials had earned her respect. But now he would witness the full recognition of humanity's worth. The Queen's chamber was immense. With a panoramic view of the city and the gas giant below, Queen Arathia awaited them, regal and calm, her eyes fixed on Elias. Lyra remained at her mother's side, a silent reminder of why Elias was here. "Captain Mercer," the Queen began, her voice clear and commanding yet warm, "your actions have done more than save my daughter. You have demonstrated qualities that define your species: courage, intelligence, empathy, and resourcefulness. In a galaxy full of civilizations older and more advanced than yours, these traits are remarkable." Elias bowed, humility mingled with pride. "Your Majesty, I acted as I believe any human would. We survive, we protect, and we adapt. That is our strength." The Queen studied him for a moment, then gestured toward a ceremonial platform. "Tonight we honor you officially. This ceremony is more than gratitude. It is a pledge of trust between your people and mine. By saving Lyra and proving your worth in the trials, you have opened a door to cooperation and alliance that was previously unimaginable." Elias followed her, observing dignitaries and scholars from alien civilizations assembled to witness the event. All eyes were on him, the human who had changed perceptions through courage and action alone. Lyra whispered, "This is incredible. Your actions have brought hope not just to me, but to everyone here." Elias nodded. "Humans often surprise the galaxy. Sometimes that's enough to make a difference." The Queen raised her hand, and a soft light projected holographic symbols across the platform. The medallion of honor Elias had received during the night of trials glowed faintly, symbolizing trust and recognition. The Queen's voice carried through the hall. "By my authority and in the presence of witnesses, I declare Captain Elias Mercer an honored friend of our people. His courage and wisdom have shown that humanity is a force to be respected and valued in the galaxy. Let this ceremony mark the beginning of a lasting alliance." A chorus of alien voices echoed in agreement, resonating through the chamber. Elias felt a sense of pride tempered by responsibility. Recognition was only the first step. The future depended on maintaining trust, honoring commitments, and continuing to demonstrate the best of humanity. After the ceremony, the Queen invited Elias and Lyra to join her for a private discussion. The chamber overlooked the floating gardens where waterfalls arced gracefully through the air. Queen Arathia's demeanor was both regal and approachable, a combination of authority and insight. "Captain Mercer," she said softly, "Lyra spoke often of you during her recovery. You gave her hope when she had none. That is rare among any species. I wish to learn more about your people, their strengths, and the qualities that allowed you to succeed where others might have failed." Elias considered carefully. "Humans are resilient. We adapt, we think quickly, and we protect those we care about. Technology and intelligence are important, but courage and heart, acting when others hesitate, often make the biggest difference." The Queen nodded thoughtfully. "Your words echo truth. Many of my advisors underestimated humanity until now. You have proven that strength is measured not only in weaponry or longevity, but in actions taken when others fear the consequences." Lyra watched silently, pride and admiration shining from her eyes. "You've changed everything for my people," she whispered to Elias. Elias smiled gently. "I only did what I had to. Humans survive, and sometimes that survival inspires others." The Queen leaned back, her gaze contemplative. "We have much to teach one another. The galaxy is vast and dangerous, and your people's qualities are an asset we cannot ignore. I extend an invitation. A formal alliance between humans and my people, with you as our envoy. Together we can face challenges that neither could withstand alone. Elias felt the weight of her words. An alliance with one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations was unprecedented. It was both an honor and a responsibility. I accept, Your Majesty. Humanity will honor this trust. Lyra's small hand found his again. You've done it, she whispered. You've made humans respected. Elias nodded, a quiet pride filling him. We earned respect through courage and heart. That is the human way. As the sun set behind the floating towers, casting long shadows across the city, Elias reflected on the journey. From rescuing a trapped princess to navigating alien trials and winning the trust of a powerful queen, humanity had proven its worth, not through sheer technology or numbers, but through qualities intrinsic to their nature: bravery, intelligence, empathy, and adaptability. The Queen rose, signaling the conclusion of the private audience. Captain Mercer, your actions have reshaped the relationship between our peoples. You have earned not only my gratitude, but the trust of my people. Let this moment mark the beginning of a new era. Elias bowed one final time. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will not forget this. Outside, the stars gleamed over the floating city, reflecting off crystalline towers and energy bridges. The vastness of the galaxy stretched endlessly, yet Elias knew humanity had carved its place. The galaxy was full of challenges, but human courage had proven it could rise to meet them. Lyra stood beside him, looking out at the stars. Do you think humans are ready for all of this? She asked quietly. Elias smiled, gazing at the distant planets and twinkling stars. We have to be. We survived Earth's challenges, the stars' dangers, and tonight, we proved we can make a difference. That is enough to start. The Queen's palace, once intimidating and alien, now felt like a place where humans and aliens could meet as equals. Elias understood that the night of gratitude was more than a ceremony. It was a lesson, a recognition that humanity's greatest power lay not in machines or weapons, but in the courage to act, the intelligence to adapt, and the heart to care. Later, in the quiet of the palace gardens, Elias and Lyra walked among floating flowers and softly glowing streams. Do you think my people will trust humans now? Lyra asked. Elias looked at her, thoughtful. Trust is earned one step at a time, but tonight we proved that humans can rise to the occasion. That is how trust begins, Lyra smiled. I hope we see more of your people soon. Elias chuckled quietly. They'll come, when they see that the galaxy has more in common than they thought. Humanity is ready to step forward, and sometimes that makes all the difference. As the twin moons rose above the floating city, Elias felt a sense of quiet triumph. The trials were over, the gratitude expressed, and an alliance forged. The galaxy was unpredictable, but humans had proven one undeniable truth. Courage, empathy, and adaptability could shape destinies, even among the stars. The Queen's voice echoed softly from the palace behind them. Captain Mercer, you have done more than save a life. You have saved hope. That is a rare and precious gift. Elias nodded, gazing at the horizon. Humanity had arrived on a stage far larger than Earth, and for the first time the galaxy truly saw what humans were capable of. The journey ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, humans had a place among the stars, not as observers but as valued allies, capable of changing the course of civilizations. Lyra leaned her head on his shoulder. Thank you, she whispered. Elias smiled faintly, looking at the glowing city below. No, thank you. For trusting me, for letting humans show what we can do. This is only the beginning. The stars stretched endlessly above them, a reminder of possibilities, challenges, and adventures yet to come. And as the night deepened, Elias knew one thing with certainty. Humanity had proven itself, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again.